My 4-year-old son's favorite superhero is Spidey from the kid cartoon series Spidey and His Amazing Friends. And at the beach this summer, we pretended that each of the crashing waves was a bad guy, and we needed our web shooters to keep the bad guys from taking over the city. You better believe that my son would tell me when we needed more web solution. He'd say, "Daddy, Daddy, you need to use your comlink to call Tracy. We need more web solution." It was the comlink and the web solution. It was Tracy, who is Spidey's robot assistant. He was jumping up and down, pacing back and forth along the beach. The comlink and the web shooters fascinate my son. They fuel his imagination. I really don't even think he recognized that Spidey was the real hero. That's something that we can separate. We can separate the hero from the super cool toys. Batman drives a tricked out Batmobile. He has a super cool tool belt. But they don't stop crimes. That's Bruce Wayne. Black Panther, great suit, claws, boots, that vibranium. But Prince T'Challa wins because he's regal. He's stoic under pressure. You may not like the DC Marvel blockbuster movie, but you may have seen a good James Bond movie, and you know that the beginning of every James Bond movie, that Q supplies James with spy gadgetry. The example that most closely suits my topic, suits very much pun intended, is Iron Man. Behind all of that shiny red and gold metal is Tony Stark, a middle-aged man just like me, who uses his superior intelligence, just like mine, to create a performance-enhancing suit. And he embeds that suit with Jarvis, his generative AI assistant. It would be really unfair to suggest that without that suit and without Jarvis, that Tony Stark would no longer be hero capable. Tony Stark is intelligent, he's persistent, he's creative, caring, tough, brave. Have you been any of those things to anyone today? Intelligent, persistent, creative, caring, tough, brave. Those are the traits of the everyday superheroes in our service to kids. And you everyday superheroes, what would you do if you had a fantastic sidekick whose only mission was to amplify the powers that you store in that suit? Listen, some of you have probably recently either heard or read, probably on social media, which is the world's most trustworthy source of reliable information, that you all are among the last human teachers on planet Earth. Look, I feel like some of that is fair. But after all, AI isn't just coming. It's already here. And there are some people who believe that AI is going to steal our honesty and integrity. Not just our academic integrity, but the integrity from our young ones. It's going to steal their critical thinking, their curiosity, their capacity to distinguish between fact and fiction. The first time I was exposed to AI, it stole my breath away. I looked at it and I go, whoa. I somehow am perfectly okay with AI in my personal life. I call it my real life. In my real life, Alexa controls my lights, plays me my music, controls my mood, sends me groceries to my doorstep on a whim or out of necessity. Siri, I don't even have to be polite. Hey Siri, send me directions to Halton Theater. And in a matter of seconds, Siri pushes a directional map onto the color touchscreen of my car. It's telling me that I'm going to arrive in 26 minutes. I parked outside on the 26th minute, and I don't know how any of that works. And I don't care how any of that works because it's cool. Give me more. I don't know much about AI, and I'm no AI expert. This is my 25th year working for CMS. Wait, there's more. This is my 27th year working in North Carolina public schools, and I have accumulated about 2 years of sick leave. And so nobody will be surprised that I have a history of rejecting the latest technology. If you work at Audrey Kell, you know that this is going to be true. But for a quarter of a century, every single day, I have put on a necktie. Even on jeans day. And that should tell you that I'm completely out of touch. I still wear a flash drive, and this is the first year that I have convinced myself that it's ethically okay for me to carry my cell phone throughout the day, because the conveniences of modern technology require a two-step identification. "80 times, which is 160 steps. I can't be the only one who feels this way about technology, and by that applause, it makes a whole lot of sense. The interesting thing is that maybe it's not so much the new things. Maybe it's that I'm resistant to change. And I happen to think that maybe that's just part of our profession, because change happens so frequently. Oh man, I miss my wikispaces.net. Weebly, I left my Weebly pre-COVID, and I seriously think that it's still waiting for me to come back. Google Classroom, Google Sites, Remind, Canvas is here today, but tomorrow it's going to be somebody that I used to know, okay? But ultimately, with all of these things, we just end up embedding this into the everyday function of what we do. And we can't look back and pinpoint the time where we reached critical evolution. It just happens. I serve as an English instructional facilitator at Audrey Kell High School. And AI paid our first visit to that school 2 years ago with a 9th grade student who submitted a literary analysis paper that we all collectively agreed was just off. Since that time, AI has burdened our department. It's burdened our professional learning communities. It's burdened our teachers. In some instances, it's become emotionally gutting. Cheating always hurts the teacher just as much as it hurts the students, sometimes even more. I can tell you that AI cuts deeper. And that's because AI is deceiving. It seems darker. The best way to explain that is that AI, the scale of AI, could be infinitely large. We don't know who, we don't know what, we don't know to what extent. AI is so easy to use. A copy and paste prompt can yield a 7 to 10 page paper in a matter of seconds, and that paper is really authentic. It's really natural, and sometimes it's really accurate, and that makes detection really difficult. AI just isn't that different than the more common ways of cheating. At Ardrey-Kell last year, we uncovered a pretty sizable cheating ring when we caught a student who had written over 20 multiple choice questions on the palm of her hand. She high-fived the teacher on the way in and then went in to take the test. We still have students who use wandering eyes or sometimes a stiff neck. That's not new wave. Cheating is never about how. Ask any psychologist. Cheating is always about why. AI is not the cause of cheating. We need to have better conversations about addressing the actual root causes. Last fall, I was a panelist on NPR's Charlotte Talks, and the topic was AI in schools. There was a point where I disagreed with one of the panelists who had spent the better part of a year interviewing almost 200 college and university professors. She ended up challenging me. She said, "Jeffrey, if hundreds of college professors cannot separate generative AI from student authenticity, then I wonder how you at Ardrey-Kell can do so with such certainty." My answer was simple: relationships. Our teachers knew the voices of their students because they'd built relationships. Building relationships, the deep connectivity of engagement, those are our powers. Isn't that why we put on the suit? I'm not suggesting at all that building relationships is the ultimate AI detector. At some point in that conversation, I found myself shifting perspective. At the end, I totally surprised myself. I said, we can do absolutely nothing, and we can get hit by the tidal wave of technology, or we can learn to surf. When the conversation was over, I got swept away by the tide right back to my office space, and that was the day that I created my first AI account. And as somebody who's about, if you're counting, 12 months away from a 30-year career in education, I can tell you this: since those 6 months, I have been refreshed, challenged, supported. AI is indefensibly practical, and it's fun. So if you want that kind of fun, I'll leave you with 2 things to do that can be done in the next 24 hours. Here's the first one. You start a student protocol. You can't be reactive to AI use any longer. The NCDPI has put out a comprehensive, an effective, and helpful implementation guidance. And so at Ardrey-Kell, our department has created a teacher protocol and a student protocol that's modeled after some of those resources. Part of that is an acceptable use scale that draws clear lines of student action, clear lines of student accountability, and clear consequences. Have a discussion at your school. Make sure that what you decide that you want to do is related to the things that are happening to you. And if you are all alone and nobody wants to discuss this with you, create your protocol tomorrow morning. Stand in front of your students and say, listen, you cannot use AI today in class on this assignment, and you can't use it tonight. There's your protocol. Start simple. The second step, build your capacity. Here comes the fun stuff. Tony Stark and Jarvis work together, and when they reach that synergy, they power Iron Man. You cannot have Jarvis. Jarvis, just a really very intelligent system, that's Tony Stark's. I'm gonna give you my Claude, because Claude has not been blocked by CMS yet. Claude AI is quick, eager, willing, tireless, by my standards charming, by everyone's standards polite. Get Claude to work right away on things that are simple. Emails, letters of recommendation, permission forms, directions, beautiful slide decks. Level up your teaching tools. Rubrics, authentic formative assessments, exit tickets, scaffolded text-dependent questions. Could get nerdy here. Then get to the dynamic and sophisticated benefits. The benefits that give you the respect that you deserve. Your human intuition, and nobody knows your students better than you do. And so Claude can help you personalize learning, and Claude can help you differentiate and sustain it. That's the real energy behind building relationships. Amanda Bickerstaff, the CEO for AI for Education, told me, Jeff, just show them what AI can do. And that's all that it takes. That's a little bit difficult to do live. But take a look at AI for Education's free prompt library. There are over 100 prompts. If you're a teacher and you're looking at some of those tasks, you know that any one of those initiatives could take you 30 minutes just to get started. It takes AI seconds. Let Claude reduce your workload. It's the thing that you set aside to come here to listen to us tonight and eat the free food and the drink. But your homework, this is a school night, and you have homework. It's going to wait for you until you get back. At Ardrey-Kell High School, I work with some of the most hardworking, dedicated, talented, intentional, thoughtful teachers and facilitators. Jen Thomas, our math facilitator, created equations given parallel and perpendicular context. She tells me that they are extremely difficult to write and very expensive if you don't feel like writing them for yourself. We authored those same problems, but we changed the lexile of the word problem content to issue them at once, differentiate in the same Math 1 class. Stephen Haregrove, our comparative government teacher, he asked AI to analyze the course feedback of 100 students. AI instantly identified a cohort of 30 students who were spending over an hour preparing for just his class. He asked AI, I'd like some study habits for those students that will help them balance the intellectual demand of the course with the personal well-being. All of this is brainstorming, and it's important for you to know that we've done this together. It's fun to share this, but some people are reluctant. And that's why I've asked Claude, probably 3 different times in 3 different ways, what do we do when a student is afraid that you are going to come for their job? And Claude says, listen, this is a human profession. I cannot human. I can't instinct. I can't intuition. I can't smile. I cannot love. So let me be clear. As powerful as generative AI is, it's not going to be the hero of the story. We have already established who the superheroes are. Oftentimes, at the end of superhero movies, the hero stands atop the tallest building, overlooking the beautiful landscape, the citizens safe below. Every teacher knows how that feels. You have seen the spark of growth. You have touched a life. Some of us have literally saved the day. Better understanding how to operate and use AI gives us the power to perch from the tallest building with a clearer view of how to touch our young ones, and we don't have to take the stairs anymore. Imagine coming to work at the top instead of looking up from the bottom. This is my son's watch. We bought it for him for Christmas to keep the fantasy that we had this summer so very alive. He uses it to call for backup and web shooters. By the time he graduates from high school, AI proficiency will dominate the most sought-after careers. It's already top 5. It's my job as his daddy to teach him the significance of resourcefulness, to teach him the power of teamwork. I want my son to master the fading art of humble kindness. I want my son to be proud of himself. And I want my son to be brave. As his daddy, those are the lessons that only I can teach my Brian. I love you, big guy. Thank you.